My name is Bart Dunne. The thing that I'm most proud of is that I've been married to my wonderful wife Sue for 27 years. Probably the second most thing is I wrote this book. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty excited we're going to talk about this. I'm not proud of this, but I'm surprised that I could get somebody that's a third of my age and a third of my weight to sit next to me. I am paying her as a salaried employee to do so. That's helpful. But this is Alyssa Roberts, and even though I think the script said that she was supposed to introduce herself, I'm drunk with power. So let's talk about my why. Why did I write this book? What fueled what's my purpose behind it? And there's a lot of whys. So sit down. I should have asked you to grab snacks before you get started. I'm going to give you a quick pause. Okay, that's it. I can't wait any longer to talk about my why. It started young. Believe it or not, I was once Alyssa's age. It is shocking to all. And even at that time, I said, I want to be special. I want to make an impact in the business world. I want to stand out. I felt that I had the talent and the energy and the desire to do it. And then I went to work. And it wasn't all horrible and everything else, but I just struggled to find my path. I'd get out there and I'd work hard, and I just never found a stream to get into. And you try things, you try initiatives, you work hard, you submit things, but there just wasn't. My employer wasn't connected. It might have been that I was a little unruly, but in addition to that, I just never found my path to greatness. So I struggled and I struggled and I struggled, and I am happy to admit, because it was so long ago and the statute of limitations as right now, but there's been many times in my 20s and 30s where I was a disengaged employee, which kind of leads me to the next why. I believe that disengagement is a crime against society. Disengaged employees that don't care about what they do. It doesn't mean that they're not completely ineffective. I mean, they show up to work and they get things done, so they're not awful. But imagine the difference in performance between somebody that really cares and that's passionate, and that wants to get better all the time, and somebody that just shows up and their number one goal is to get through the day without getting yelled at. And so another big part of my why is, imagine what we could do if we could get people to all care, or maybe not all, but maybe more the people than before. The statistics kind of show that 70% of all employees, kind of across the board, are disengaged, and 30% are engaged. What if we flipped that? And not if we flipped it, so not only just engaged, but even better than engaged, happy with what they're doing. Constantly pursuing excellence, constantly working to get better, constantly working to build their team, constantly working to build their company. And I've been carrying that around for years and years and years. And this book, which I just love to hold up, is my version to attack that disengagement. If we crush it and we kill it, we can dominate the competition. So the businesses we're working in right now, our own businesses, we're walking this path, and it's fantastic. And it's time to share it with everybody else.
And to spin off of what you said, I feel like I deeply resonated with your topic of how you felt at a young age and where you wanted to go at such a young age. And I definitely have had my fair share of jobs that I've been personally disengaged, and I knew it, just going through every day, checking my phone to see what time it is, and only a minute has passed every time I check. And that's not life, that's not work, that's not how you should live. And it was missing the passion, it was missing the drive and the enthusiasm, and just doing it because you're a kid and it makes you money. But I feel like I am grateful to be at such a young age, even though I am only 20, but I am grateful to have the knowledge that I already do and be in a company where I know I'm invested in, and just have the clarity that I want to do more and be more and give more, and not necessarily have to wait 20 to 30 years for me to figure out what that is.
So this is both for the camera and true. It's really is a pleasure to be able to give you that opportunity to work on it. You're fantastic, and it would be a crime against nature for you not to have a really nice path to success.
Bart, when did you first realize the employer-employee relationship was broken?
The day I went to work. I think it's existed, my entire professional life, and I'm old, so it's over 40 years. I think that standard dynamic, and this is in the book, so now you'll know, but because I'm not afraid to borrow from geniuses like George Carlin. So George Carlin was talking about the average, I'm paraphrasing because I'm not good enough to quote him specifically. The average employee works just hard enough not to get fired, and the average employer pays just enough so people don't quit. And I think that that's a simplification, but it hits home beautifully. But I think the real problem is that employers don't know exactly how to develop employees, how to turn them into stars. They think that their goals, they're going to find them, and finding them is brutally hard. And it's always been hard, not just in this tough labor market. I think that the way to go is building it. But if you don't know how to build it, then you just kind of fumble and you recede from the responsibility to do it, and you just like, hey, I'm paying you, do your work. And employees don't know what to expect from their employers, and they don't know how to do it on their own either. So they guess, and they guess wrong, and they guess wrong, and they guess wrong, because that's what happens when you guess. Almost always, for me, guessing is a coin flip. And so you guess about what's excellent performance, you guess about what's good, what your boss is going to like, and the more you guess wrong, the more you get bad feedback, and the less you start guessing, less you guess, and then you kind of move into the disengaged. And you know what? The disengaged people, they love to have you. They're kind of recruiting. They're going, you know what? We're not trying all that hard. We're not awful, but we're not trying all that hard. Come join us to validate that the 70% is right. And I know a lot of disengaged people. They're kind of fun to hang out with when they're not being disengaged. But it's no way to be in business.
Yeah, absolutely. And on an employee standpoint too, I feel like that was something that was very apparent to me as far as disengagement, was just not having clarity on what you're supposed to be doing, especially the relationship between you and your employer. And there's a lot of unsaid conflict that happens, and not a lot of awareness of what more can be done, what more I can do between the employee and the employer, and it really just goes unheard. And like you said, you guess and you make assumptions that you're not worthy of your time, your employer's not worthy of your talent, things of that sort, and then you just check out. And that's definitely what we're on track to fix.
Alyssa, as you walk the path, is this about making money for you?
Not at all. 1,000,000% not at all. My 100% goal in life is utter happiness. I feel like nothing is done without passion, and there's no reason for me to continue my life, my work status, relationships without feeling that I am serving a purpose. So it doesn't matter what amount of money I'm in it for. It is truly about happiness and impacting the lives of others.
When was the last time you had an employer care about your happiness and make that a priority as an employee?
August 1st, when I started this job.
Woo! August 1st!
Woo!
That's a big day.
It was a good day.
You talk about the program and what sets it apart from most programs, most educational courses.
Well, let's think about this. Let's talk about high school. Let's talk about college. They're designed to teach us facts, hows and whats. They're fine. I had a great time in college. I already knew how to drink, but I was able to refine my process. And going through classes were fine. It was good. I was very happy to go to college. But they didn't teach me how to be a high performer. They didn't teach me how to be a great teammate. They didn't teach me how to be a great person. We talk about it in emotional intelligence, EQ, a lot. There wasn't any of that. Maybe it's improved a little bit because it's been a long time since I've been to college. But in general, college is about building your intellect. Success is about building the way that you're able to relate to other people. So our program's 13 weeks, and it's all about being a high-functioning employee. We're not going to say, hey, look at this, here's how you sell more widgets, this is how you do this. It's how do you relate to people better? How do you understand better? How do you communicate better? How do you control your emotions? How do you stay effective? How do you build commitment? So what we're doing is we've got a true, successful employee development program that can take somebody that's had enough of facts and figures and wants to jump into actually being a star by learning how to be effective in the workplace. Does that make sense? Does that sound right?
Absolutely. And to all the other, college students out there, I did 2 years of college and kind of just realized that I wasn't going on the path that I wanted to, and a lot of that confusion in our age is just, it really just sits there and it settles and you live with it and you just think about, you know, what you could be doing instead of actually going and doing what you could be doing and figuring it out. And I know there are a lot of people out there who aren't necessarily in it for the parties and the fun, and you know, that's just not their style, and I was kind of the same way. And I instantly was ready to work and figure out what my path was, and so I am amazed to have an opportunity to give to students just like me who are in that kind of wishy-washy stage where they don't necessarily know what they want to do or who they want to be, and you know, don't want to go into crazy amounts of debt or, you know, wasting 4 years of your life. So.
It's not for me to decide how, you know, what's a lot of money for people. So $29 could be a crazy amount of debt.
You're right.
Starting with you, Bart, can you speak to the income earning potential of a high EQ individual over someone who is a high IQ, low EQ person?
So we were talking about that in our office meeting today. And it's nice to be smart. It's great. You crush on Jeopardy. You can have a really great place on the chess team. You can invent some really, really cool things. Being smart, I'm not anti being smart at all. I'm anxious to be smarter. That's your IQ. EQ is, again, how do you lead? How do you respond? How do you be a teammate? How do you constantly work to get better? How do you walk the path of excellence? That's all EQ. And the difference is EQ is a muscle that you can grow, and IQ is what you're kind of born with. It's your ability to retain knowledge. And so Donovan and I were talking, we've both read similar books, and the book that I cite in my book, The Unicorn Path, talks about how only 20% of highly intelligent people are more successful than the rest. That means 80% aren't. Conversely, the people that really excel and rise above in terms of being great people, which is kind of the essence of what EQ is and emotional intelligence, being a great person, those are the people that rise to the top, because people will follow them, people will believe them, people will understand them, they will trust them. And it's something that needs to be taught more and more, and that's where the success comes from. And success, money follows success, there's no doubt about it, but with great EQ, it's so much more than that. Your relationships are higher quality. Work relationships, home relationships, and I believe that's where true success lies. The other thing that we talk about a lot is happiness. Happiness is kind of a cool and sexy thing that I never paid much attention to when I was at your age. I was like, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to rough it up and I'm going to do some stuff, I'm going to do some work. But I think happiness is the best benefit you can get at work. I think money's a mid-tier motivator. I like, getting a lot of money. I like paying people a really nice amount of money. But happiness is where I go out of my way to try to provide now.
100%. I feel like I've heard recently too that a lot of people who are at high levels of success, they aren't happy. And I feel like that is such a huge goal for me, is to not only be successful but also to have a healthy mentality, healthy relationships with everybody I'm around and interact with, and like I said earlier, being able to impact on a different level. Like, those are huge goals of mine, and I really feel like that is something that's super important.
You triggered something for me, if you don't mind. So I live in North Scottsdale, and it's a beautiful, safe place. It's a place that we should all be happy to live. And I'm driving around, and I go to the grocery store, and I see a lot of frowns. And I've come to conclude, and I meet with people, and I talk to people, I've come to conclude that the people that have hit good financial success to the point where they can really live in a nice, reasonable, carefree, safe life, they're not happy. And I think that the core to that is that they chase the wrong things. They chase money without chasing the ability to build relationships and communicate with people effectively, trust people, emotional intelligence. So every time I drive around Scottsdale, which is every day, I think more and more about how important it is.
So getting back to your book, and the course named the same thing, The Unicorn Path. Talk about why unicorns?
Many of my friends have kind of teased me about the unicorn stuff because they go, it's kind of like, it hits them like My Little Pony. And I'm not super whimsical. I'm not into, I have a friend over there that's a Dungeons and Dragons guy and all that kind of stuff. I don't have any regard for that kind of stuff at all. I was just looking for a name, a designation that was special. And so a lot of people will call them rock stars. Yeah, I like rock stars too, but it's just not special enough because they call it, or gold, platinums, or whatever else. I wanted something that when you said unicorn in a workplace environment, a unicorn level performer, that's a name that would ring out, and it would be clear that these are special people and they needed to be treated accordingly. So I apologize to anybody that kind of throws them off because of, again, the fact that it's a whimsical character. But I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it, and I couldn't come up with a name that would designate them in a more special manner.
Alyssa, when you hear unicorns, how does that resonate with you?
Honestly, when I first read the book and first heard the unicorn path, don't get me wrong, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, seems very whimsical, it seems kind of like character-like, and as soon as I read the book and it resonated with me, the principles and how to, go forward with your life with those principles, it really felt like a rare breed to me is how I like to look at it, and those are those superstars, if you will, that we look for and that we are trying to, implement in other people. And so I feel like unicorn is a very accurate representation of the type of person, a high performer, and at this point after reading the book, I don't feel like it's very whimsical at all.
And it really kind of rolls out the tongue. The second part, like the subtitle of the book is "The one with the most unicorns wins," and the one with the most stars wins. I guess that would have been good, but the ones with the most unicorns wins, that was something that really sounded good to me.
What defines a unicorn?
So just on the surface, they're a transcendent high performer. They're people that stand out. The more unicorns you have in a company, it's one's good, two's better. But after you get to a certain level, and it starts with one, the sun shines a little bit brighter. The flowers bloom a little bit more. They're people that are just committed to being special. How I've defined it within the unicorn path is that they are committed to getting better every day. Some days better than others. People have bad days. But if you wake up every day and go, I'm going to be better, I'm going to walk the path of excellence, that distinguishes you from the pack. Secondarily, I'm going to make my team better because I want to win as a team. I don't want to be responsible for my own success. I want to get help from others so I can live a nice, sustainable life where I can have family time and success. And the third is every day they look to make their company better. And the reason for that is it's a partnership. The more an employee works to help make distinctively looks to make the company better, the more the company's going to be likely to invest in them and pull them up as well.
Yeah, and I think with that too, one of the things that Bart always talks about is, or at least it's written everywhere, it says create an environment where people have no choice but to get better. And I really feel like having your entire business and system be surrounded around that, creating an environment where you have no choice but to get better really helps to filter out those people who aren't unicorns, and they will feel different because they will be the outlier. Much like the unicorn will be the person who stands out, but in a room full of unicorns, the non-unicorn will be the one to stand out and, find a different place.
How do you attract more unicorns?
Is that for Alyssa or me? I can just because I like to talk more than you do. You're doing a nice job.
Thank you.
So I believe that unicorns attract unicorns first and foremost. And what I mean by that is, like what Alyssa says, is that you're looking around and you see who's doing well, who's happier, who's got better work relationship, who's a better teammate, and it's naturally going to go, I'd like to be like that person. And so a one unicorn will attract another and another. It's essential for a company to have an environment that will grow and inspire unicorns, but within that, unicorns will grow each other.
100%. And I also like kind of piggybacking off of what I said on the last part, but that really is true about how unicorns do attract each other, and being in a room full of unicorns, even if you are someone who isn't necessarily a unicorn yet, you will be in an environment where you're surrounded by them, and you will just mimic their actions and what they do and be like another unicorn.
Donovan, if I screw up your agenda, I apologize, but I want to talk about the flip side, because I've been disengaged. So it is hard. The single biggest thing about being a unicorn is it's changed. We're all programmed and oriented to do certain things. We're to fear change, to fear embarrassment, to fear different things, and overcoming this is quite a challenge. So it is hard, but having experienced it, what's harder is being a lousy employee, is being somebody that just hate what you do, and it doesn't feel that painful every day. It's like, oh, I go today, coming home, going, and then all of a sudden you wake up and it's the death of 1,000 cuts. So the change is short-term difficulty to become a unicorn. The real pain that I see is the death of 1,000 cuts from being somebody that doesn't care about what they do. Is not a path.
I've been that person for sure, 100%. I know exactly what feeling you're talking about, and waking up and just dreading going to work. And I worked in Costco, and I was a sales rep, and I won't name the brand, but I was selling for a brand. And I just remember a little 16-year-old me. It was my very first job, and I was completely disengaged. I would set up my little shop and go walk away and walk around Costco for 8 hours and then consider that a job well done. And looking back on that now, it was aggravating, it was frustrating, it was tiring, and it's just amazing what the power of just loving your job can do for you.
For someone similar to yourself who's looking for an opportunity for an employer to invest in them, for an opportunity for them to invest in themselves, how would you suggest or recommend that they get on the path?
Yeah, I would say, well, first of all, read the book. But secondly, free promo. But I would say just what I did is just taking steps to personally improve yourself first. Walking the path that is making yourself better, making others better, making the company better, but not in a selfish light at all, but just taking the grasp of your life and knowing that you want more and you want to do more, and whether that's it could look different for everybody, but me personally, it's personal development, it's meditation, it's gratitude, it's affirmations, things like that. So that really helped me jumpstart my path to wanting to do more and realizing that I do have a skill set that can be utilized on a wide scale. So I would say for anybody that's looking for an employer and wants to be a unicorn employee, I would figure out what your skills are first, and develop yourself so that way you can be a shining unicorn for someone else.
Bart, as someone who works with a lot of employers and is an employee yourself, what would be the first step, if we break this down, to becoming a unicorn and getting on the path of being someone who is always employable?
The essence, the steps aren't hard. $29, again, it's not for me to decide if it's a lot of money or not. Most people, that's not hard. If those that are, I apologize for demeaning that. 13 weeks, hour course. People are doing that. Thousands of people are going to online universities right now, this very minute, and they're working hard to improve themselves. So that part's not that hard. If thousands and thousands are people who can do it. The hard part again is going to be change, and what you need to decide is, what's your purpose? For me, I just hate the idea of being a commodity, being like everybody else. Some people, that's okay, and congratulations. I think that's fantastic. I wanted people that want to stand out. And if you're a commodity, you really have no control over your career. You can say, okay, I'm going to work for some place that's got good job stability, but even the biggest companies lay commodities off during different cycles. The people that want to stand out, that want to control their career, take hold of it, and knowing that if you're distinctive in the workplace, if you stand out, and if your boss gets crazy all of a sudden and fires you, or they lay you off for some odd reason, you're going to get another job, because you're going to be able to, as a unicorn, certified, documented, you're going to be able to prove that you do things that will wow employers.
On that, you talk in your book about you get what you tolerate, and what can you do so you don't find yourself in a situation where you are having to tolerate a bad employer-employee relationship?
So there's so many people, I've experienced this, that you're working someplace, you're just accustomed, you're in a rut, and the check matters. And you just go, I can't quit, I need a check. And so you look around, you assess your options, you go, I don't really have any good options, so I'm just gonna stay. And it just gets worse, and it gets worse, and it gets worse, and you slip into the depths of more disengagement, you become more of a commodity. Be distinctive. So the idea of, if you are going to be like everybody else, your choices are going to be pretty minimal, because they can hire anybody else. If you're working in a place that you hate, if you're working in a place that they don't respect you, or they don't want to develop you, or they just don't connect with you, take some steps. And I think that this, our 13-week program is a great way to find out if what we do works. Because again, I think that you work the 17 principles, and you document the work that you've done, and that you're committed to walking the path of excellence, and to purpose, and to loving what you do. Just loving what you do will set you apart from almost everybody in your company. So if you can do 2 of our principles, and we don't recommend that, let alone 17, you are going to stand out, and we will make it so that you'll be able to prove it to the hiring community. So now you've got options. So you can decide, hey, stick with what you're doing, tolerate your job where you're dreadfully unhappy because they're not really supporting you, or you can try something else. And it is change, and change is hard. But if you can get through our change, you won't have to tolerate working in a bad place.
We started talking about the principles, and I think it's time we get into them. My first question, why 17 principles?
That's a lot. Again, the same friends that teased me, that were very, very successful, by the way, that teased me about, why unicorns, also said, why can't it be like 2 or 3? And I wish it could have been 2 or 3. I mean, I wish it would be just an app that you could put on your phone. Hey, I'm going to be successful, beep, beep, beep. Or a diet pill, which clearly I've not found one of those that's successful. I don't know, I started working on the list. I created a list. I go, what does it take to really be somebody that's amazing in the workplace? And I did this by watching so many people they're rare, but they exist. Maybe, the people that I drew upon for my examples, 1 or 2% of all workers. But each one of the 17 is pretty simple on their own, if you exclude the fact that every one of them involves change from what you're doing. So you say, okay, well, I'm going to commit more. I'm going to have a big purpose. I'm going to walk the path of excellence. I'm going to get into clarity. Systems. You go, oh, okay, systems would be good. Clarity would be great. I'm going to work to improve. All these things make a lot of sense. Which one can I throw out? And so I got attached to them. Maybe I got over-attached. Maybe we could have 14 or 15. But I've asked many, many people that I really respect, which ones get thrown out. And they might have just said, because they knew that I was so attached to them, now you need them all. But I just couldn't. To stand out, it's got to be hard. It can't be 2 or 3. If it's 2 or 3, the herd can do that. The commodity, all the sheep can do that. We're going to master 17 in our program. We're going to take the time. You're not going to be perfect, by the way, after 13 weeks. We're going to put you strongly on the path to continue to develop in all your 17 principles, exercise and develop those muscles. But if it was easy, it wouldn't be meaningful.
I'm glad you said that, honestly, because after reading the book, I was a little bit overwhelmed almost by how much there was. And I was like, well, this is what I have to do to be great. And then, really taking it in, it is. Like, there is no other words to put it, but it is what it takes. And so I'm glad that there's 17 principles. I'm glad that there's a clear path, an accurate description of, genuinely what it takes to be a unicorn and to be a high performer. And so I don't know if I'm just a friend of yours or not, but I don't think you should take any of them out, because they all work.
Today, can you speak to the value of having other people in your life outside of work, your co-workers who you can rely on to keep you on that path? Absolutely.
And that is something that kind of tested me in my early times of personal development and growing myself. Was I wasn't able to do it alone. I had to find a team. I had to find an accountability buddy. And so that's what I would speak to, people who are trying to join the course and trying to, be that kind of person, is to find a buddy, find a group, find people who will hold you accountable, because I wouldn't have been able to do it alone, like I said, and I genuinely it felt more comfortable being able to rely on someone to be there when you fall, because more than likely you're going to, and that's totally part of the process. But having somebody there to walk you through it, do it with you, even just do life with you, not work related, it really does help. And I grew up personally, I played 10 years of volleyball, so I was always team oriented, very reliant on my team, and I grew up with the idea that nothing works without team. There's no I in team, so you need a group of people, and so that is something that was very apparent in my growth and the improvement of my life in general, was that it takes a team, and it can't be just you.
First of all, there is a meat team for you vegetarians. Be careful there. Okay.
Good thing I'm vegan.
Oh wait, no. So I'm sorry. So I also I want to talk, and again, I'm sorry if I'm stomping on your agenda.
Not at all.
But I want to talk about like the self-help book and stuff. Sometimes my book's described as a self-help book, but that's not what I want. Whatever they describe it, whatever. But in my opinion, it's the exact opposite. That you get help from others, team. You get help from people outside your team, and you get help from your employer. So it's so much easier to climb the mountain of success if you've got somebody pulling you up, and with your teammates, somebody pushing you up. So a little bit of it's doing it yourself, but pretty much actually I know this, in every chapter, there's a recommendation, get help. Get help, get help, get help. So it's constantly looking, who else can make me be successful? You've got to take the initiative, so it is on you, but it's about how to get a community to drive you up.
So we talk about the Unicorn course, which is starting October 6th.
Yep.
And it is a 13-week course every Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. Arizona time. But I want to talk about what happens after the 13 weeks. We talk a lot about the support, what you're going to get when you're in there. What happens after that? Does the support end? Are you now back on your own? I know it's something it's very valuable to you. So Alyssa, if you can speak to post-course support, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that, after you go through the course, after you take the time to develop yourself, develop your community, develop the people around you and your workplace, then it really is about finding your path. You've taken the steps to, become this unicorn and become this high performer, but now it's time to put those skills into place. And so we are, grateful to have those skills for you, and be able to, provide you with that amount of curriculum and the information. So I would say the next step for you would be to find your path, find what you love to do and what's going to make you happy for the rest of your life. And you may not know that, but hopefully you do get a little bit of clarity on that too. But generally, figuring out what makes you happy, putting yourself on the path to be successful and be that unicorn that you want to be.
I think I stole the idea or the words from somebody else, because that's a lot of the book. But we are the sum of the people we spend time with. That's where our success comes with. And I'm excited to build a network. So I want to collaborate with as many unicorns as possible. And so the unicorn network is going to be a big thing, because it's so much easier to work and to aspire to things with people that have common values that are highly motivated. So we're going to build a very powerful network that will be able to help each other. Jobs, support, because we're nothing's perfect. It's not a straight, easy path. So support, collaboration. Hey, how can you help me with this, and this? Kind of the essence of network. And then I know from years and years and years of working with hundreds of companies that these values are extremely rare in the workplace. And so we're going to help anybody that's unicorn certified get a job. They're not going to pay a penny to us. We're going to charge the hiring companies, not a huge amount, but we're going to charge them. That's kind of how we're going to pay for all this fancy stuff. But any certified unicorn, you're going to be in the network for life, and you're going to be always able to utilize our job placement services, where not only will we find you a job, but we will not place you in a place that's not set up to accommodate unicorns. If they don't understand and walk the unicorn path themselves, we're not going to do business with them. So that's what you get as being a unicorn.
Yeah, I think the the unicorn alumni is going to be playing a huge role in the course and the success of the course as well, because it like you said, it is easier to win as a team when you have people behind you too, pushing you up. So if you have people who have already gone through it, know what it's like, they have those connections, they're able to be that shoulder to lean on when you need it. That genuinely is what is going to be very, very highly appreciated of the unicorn alumni.
So I promised the viewers
Woo! Which ones? Name the person, call them out.
we would get into Alyssa's favorite principle. What is your favorite principle? Why? And what do you do to work on that on a daily basis?
Awesome. So my favorite principle, I got to talk a little bit about this today in our office meeting, but my favorite principle is number 6, the power of love. And so I have been learning how to live by this, and I feel like it's definitely something that I've been learning to live by pretty much my entire life. I have a very supportive family. Love is very supportive in my family. So I genuinely have always built everything that I do around love, but in terms of the workplace, was somewhere that I didn't necessarily fit that in. And so learning about it, reading the principles, and determining that was my favorite one because it stuck out so much, to me was, well, I haven't really ever, loved my job. I haven't really ever loved the people that I work with. I haven't really ever helped other people love their job. And so, taking myself away too, it's also about helping other people love their job, love the company, have the company become something that is lovable. And so those are huge things for me that are surrounded upon love. And that's honestly why I chose number 6.
I love that.
I love it.
So for those looking to become unicorns, we can go to theunicornpath.com. If you have questions, you can email us at marketing@unicornpath.com. And one free thing for the listeners, we talked about a $29 fee for the course. If that is something that would prohibit you from being able to join the course, email us. Bart has companies that are looking for unicorns and are willing to sponsor people who are looking to invest in themselves and will pay your tuition for you.
That is fantastic, and it makes perfect sense. It'd be great to see it. It's so much fun talking about this. Not easy, but fun. It's fun watching people improve. It's fun watching people change, always for the better. And I promise you, it's nothing's close to a cult, because a big part of it is conflict is huge for us. It's a principle. And so we don't all agree. We just all use the same operating system.